You need to start running performance marketing. If you are a media buyer, marketer, marketing agency, you need to start thinking about performance deals, whether it's incorporating them into your existing retainer-based agency, or you're just looking to branch out, get started in media buying. Performance marketing, aka affiliate marketing, is so powerful. It's getting so much more popular, and it's only going to get bigger in 2023 and 2024. Unfortunately, a lot of people, when they get into it, they aren't that selective. They don't really know what they're doing. They don't have a lot of asks, and they jump into things and lose a lot of money because of that. So what I want to do in this video is share the list of our top 10 minimum requirements. So this is a list we share with any brand that reaches out to us, that gets connected to us, even a warm intro, even a big brand that comes out to us and says, we want you to run our offer. We send this list, and these are kind of non-negotiables. So I wanted to break this list down with you, share it with you. I think it's really important to have this information going into it. And again, I've talked about this so many times. Performance marketing is so profitable. It's so scalable. It's so much less work in terms of manpower, back and forth, calls, Slack, reports, all that stuff, stress with clients. And it can make a lot of money, right? This is just one offer I just wanted to share with you guys. $100,000 in the last week on just one of these offers. We have multiple offers going across multiple networks. We'll probably end up doing minimum 10 million this year, but closer to 20. Our goal is kind of 15, 20 in our performance marketing business. This is a massively lucrative business where you can achieve massive scale and just focus on buying media and leave all other stuff out. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna click over here. I'm gonna share this little presentation I've been working on and just share this specific slide and walk you through it. So here's the list. Here's our top 10 minimum requirements for any offer. So again, somebody reaches out to us, we get an introduction. Hey, Unicorn, can you run our ads for us on a performance basis? Sure, but let's start with this. Okay, so number one, traffic ready to scale, grab and go. This should be pretty self-explanatory, but unfortunately, a lot of people don't actually ask this out of the gate, and they just assume because this is a business and they want us to run offers that they got their stuff figured out. The worst thing in the world is when you take the risks, you take the time to launch an offer, and you test it and finally crack it, and the brand reaches out to you saying, hey, actually, you can only do 100 sales a day. Actually, we don't have our infrastructure in place to really scale up, so we got to keep you at 50 sales a day. That is the worst thing that could happen in performance marketing, right? Because again, you take big risks up front and take big, swings because of the upside. It's like venture capital, right? You make lots and lots of bets for the next Facebook, for the next Coinbase, for the next Alphabet, Tesla, right? So you need those big wins, and if your big wins when you finally get them get capped, you can lose a lot of money. So that's number one. Number two, successful history on the offer, kind of built in number one here. This is kind of a minimum threshold, just a general guideline. You can modify this to your liking. Minimum 100K revenue or 5,000 leads generated. This is not just across the business. This is through the offer, right? So if your entire Shopify store is done 100,000 in sales, doesn't count. We need the actual funnel and product and offer we're running to have generated that. That tells us there's enough traction here. There's enough data here and kind of confidence in the offer that it works, that it clearly has to work or the business wouldn't have gotten to this point, right? So that's our minimum. Number three, these two, the 3 and 4 are kind of similar, but it's about sharing data. We need our conversion rate data shared. So we need screenshots or a Loom video. Number 4, we need internal CPA shared. This is also a big one because the business, the brand, the offer owner, it's this weird game you play with the media buyer, the affiliate, and the offer owner. The media buyer is always going to want a higher CPA. The offer owner is always going to pay the lowest possible CPA. So you're always playing this game, right? And so what will end up happening a lot of times is the offer owner will come out and say, we're setting the CPA at $40 without context. But if you start talking to the brand, you might find out that their internal CPA is $80. That's the best they can do. So it's okay. You're willing to pay $80 internally, but you're only willing to pay us $40. How does that make sense? So we need evidence. We need proof. If you're willing to pay $65, we need to see what your internal CPA is. Because if you're not willing to pay us at least what you're paying internally, we're not interested, right? Because our goal here is not to, get your CPA down super, super low, so as profitable on every sale. Our goal here is to drive volume, to drive scale, to get you from doing, a few dozen sales a day to hundreds or thousands of sales a day. And that's going to be expensive, right? The CPA is going to go up as we scale. So we need that. Number 5, access to all creative repositories, especially out of the gate. Once an offer works for us, we have an internal creative team. We'll do a lot of creative. We'll do all our in-house creative. We'll get creators. We'll shoot stuff in-house. We'll do all kinds of editing, repurposing. We'll do a lot of stuff there. But when we're testing lots of offers, we don't like to invest that much capital and time resources into making fresh creative. So what we usually want is a brand that has high quality existing good creative that we can either grab and go with, or we can grab, make tweaks, modifications, put some new hooks on it, text overlays on it, something like that, and run. So it's the kind of the least amount of effort for the maximum reward. So that's number 5. Number 6, net 7 payment terms. This is going to be easier said than done, right? We have a track record, clout, we do volume, so we can get the best payment terms. But you want to get the best possible payment terms because you're floating a lot of cash, right? So you're paying for everything day one. Obviously, you're paying with a credit card or something like that. So you technically have 30 days, but you want to collect cash as soon as possible because you're buying the media day one. The client is getting the money day one. You want to get paid as close to that as possible. You don't want to be running large balances on like a net 30 payment terms. That can be really, really risky and you go out of business that way. Number 7, internal gross margin of 50% to cover overhead. So example, if they're getting a $100 internal CPA, we want a $150 payout. Now, again, we set this at that number to give us some wiggle room. So it's, kind of we have an internal like company-wide margin that we really want to shoot for. And if we're over that, we're happy. And then we have kind of what we put out there, like this is where we want to start. In an ideal world, this is where we're going to be at for every offer. Again, if the offer is maybe a home run offer, we're really excited about it. Maybe we'll budge a little bit on this, but 9 times out of 10, 9.5 times out of 10, this is what we're sticking to. So again, $100 CPA internally, you pay us $150. Because again, our goal here is to help you scale, not to drive an extra 10 sales, 20 sales a day as profitable as possible for you. And the businesses that have that mindset and that think scale, they get it and they're willing to pay it. The businesses that don't complain about it and just we pass on them. It's good. It kind of self-selects there. Number 8, test budgets or loss pools are not required, but a huge bonus. So basically what I mean by that is performance marketing. The difference between a traditional agency is we're fronting our own capital. So every dollar spent on ads, it's on our card, not the brand's card. And so that can be a big risk. If we're testing a bunch of offers simultaneously, we kind of have a 2K loss kill point on offers. We could be floating a lot of cash and not getting any reward because we could have a few flops in a row. So what we'd like to have happen for a lot of offers, unless again, it's a massive brand with tons of data, we know it's going to be a home run, is some type of loss pool or test budget. So a test budget would simply be the brand kind of paying for it. So saying, hey, we'll give you 2K, 4K, 5K in a test budget. So the brand's paying for that initial test so we can make sure the offer works. And then once it does, then we switch to our card and we scale it up on our card. A loss pool is similar, but it's kind of retroactive. So a loss pool basically would be, hey, we'll guarantee up to 2K in losses. So 2K loss pool, which means that let's say we spend $4,000 testing an offer in the first month and we generate $2,000 in commissions, which means we lost $2,000. That brand then will cover those losses. So we're not out the 2K. So they're kind of covering our downside for a little bit. So both of those accomplish the same thing, gives us a little bit of risk reduction initially testing offers, gives us a little more confidence testing an offer as well because there's less of a risk, like I said. Number 9, offer doesn't have a history of excessive ad account bans or suspensions. Another big one. You don't want to run an offer because what happened a lot of times with performance stuff is brands that like really struggle policy-wise to get ads approved would love to get affiliates running their stuff because they can't run anything internally because everything's rejected. So like, hey, we have this amazing offer. We'll pay you whatever you want. But they don't tell you that everything, our landing pages, our domains, they've all been blacklisted or flagged. Then you launch it and automatically get flagged, get dinged, and that can kind of have a contagion effect and hurt your entire business there. So we like to make sure the offer is super clean, super white hat, has really no ideally history of bans, rejections, anything like that. So we want to make sure going out of the gate. And last but not least, product samples, access to the product for our team members, for our creators, for our media buyers, for our leadership team. And that's really important because one, we obviously shoot a lot of creative for partners. And so we obviously need to have the product to shoot content and getting that as early as possible. I know, I said like, hey, we start with their creative and then switch to ours, but having it, a few weeks in so we can prepare is better than waiting until we're ready to make our creative and then getting the samples and stuff. So you don't lose all that time. And then it's important just for the entire team to get the product, meaning to understand it, right? It's really hard to advertise a product that you've never used before. It's really hard to effectively communicate the value proposition and how it makes you feel if you haven't felt it firsthand. So we make it like a big priority that, hey, our entire team is basically need the product samples. And pretty much all the big brands, all the brands that we've worked with are totally cool with that, right? It's a negligible cost to them, gets us excited. It always ends up in my videos. I have a whole row up there of samples from different companies we run offers for. But yeah, so there you have it. Those are the minimum 10 requirements we look at. Again, there's a longer list there. There's a lot of other things we look at, but those are kind of 10 really important ones, 10 kind of line in the sand minimum requirements that we have for all of our performance deals. So as always, guys, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell so you get all my videos, and let me know in the comments, are you doing performance marketing right now? Are you thinking about doing performance marketing in 2023? And do you have a list? Do you have your own minimum requirement list? What do you think about these lists? Let me know in the comments below. Love to hear from you. I'll see you on the next one.